Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's called the Business to Business Network show here on KFNX, and my name is Rex Perry. I am the host and creator of the show, and for 20 years, every weekend, we've been talking business, politics, economics. We have an hour-long show with multiple interviews, and our next guest is Rod. Rod, give us your last name. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rod Passman, and I am a cardiac electrophysiologist at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago.
And you've got a really important and interesting subject we need to bring awareness to. Tell us about arterial fibrillation. What is this?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation is the most common abnormal rhythm of the heart. It occurs in maybe 6 to 8 million Americans that we know about, and it is a major cause of stroke. Patients with atrial fibrillation often not only feel poorly, but they have a 500% increased risk of stroke, and these tend to be major strokes. So this is really a disease that will affect many people that we know, many family members, and maybe many of the people listening to your show today.
We have a lot of individuals, a lot of retirees that have actually moved from Chicago, where it was cold, and come down to Arizona, where it's warmer. And so we want to bring awareness to this. Tell us about some of the research and the milestones. What are you guys working on?
Oh, there's so much going on in this area. Because this is so common and because there are still big gaps in our understanding and our treatments, there's a lot going on. So I would say some of the big things are, if we've known for, 70 years or so that a drug called Coumadin or warfarin was very effective at preventing stroke, but anyone who's been on that drug knows how hard it is to take. You need to monitor your blood levels. You need to be careful about what you eat. And the last 8 or 9 years, we now have 4 new drugs that are essentially a replacement for warfarin for most people, easier to take, safer, and more effective. We also have made great strides in our ability to do what's called an ablation for atrial fibrillation, to snake catheters through the heart and to find the source of the atrial fibrillation and eliminate it. And that is a pretty effective manner of eliminating AFib for many of our patients, particularly those who are highly symptomatic from their AFib and have tried medications, but the medications have either failed or have not been well tolerated. And I think the other really important and interesting thing is that there's now a whole a slew of consumer-grade electronics that you could download to your smartphone or buy in a smartwatch that is designed to look for atrial fibrillation in people who didn't even know they had it. So we're now seeing people come to us who've diagnosed AFib on their own because their smartwatch told them they had AFib without a doctor even laying a hand on them.
Yeah, these smartwatches have gone way beyond Dick Tracy, don't you think so?
Yeah, it's unimaginable, but I do think it's a game changer, and this really empowers patients or individuals to maybe diagnose and manage a disease process. And I think heart rhythm detection is the low-hanging fruit, but I hope that in the future we're going to see other diseases that will be detected and managed with this sort of technology.
Let's talk a little bit about lifestyle. It's very important to educate people what we should and should not do. Tell us about that.
Well, atrial fibrillation is generally a disease of getting older. It's about 5% of the population over age 65, about 10% of the population over age 80 that we know about. But since we can't stop the aging process, there are things that we can do to reduce the risk of developing AFib. And some of these things are the things that we tell all of our patients, right? Exercise is good for you. Moderate levels of exercise have been shown to reduce the risk of AFib. Staying slim is important because obesity is a risk factor for the development of atrial fibrillation. One important issue that we don't think a lot about is alcohol. We know that alcohol is toxic to the heart and that anything more than a glass of wine or a glass of beer with dinner a few nights a week increases the risk of developing atrial fibrillation. But there are some other interesting things that we should know about. We know that sleep apnea is important, that people with sleep apnea are at much higher risk of developing AFib, and our ability to treat atrial fibrillation is made more challenging if you don't have sleep apnea treated. So I always ask my patients or their significant others, do you snore at night? Does your significant other report stopping breathing at night? Because getting evaluated for sleep apnea is important. And then we're learning that there are other things that are important. So getting a good night's sleep, trying to reduce stress in the workplace. There's even some data that yoga might be helpful at reducing the risk of atrial fibrillation. So there's a lot that you can do to reduce your risk of developing AFib. But once you have it, I think it's very important that you go speak to your doctor, evaluate your risk of stroke, get on a blood thinner or some other alternatives, and if you're highly symptomatic, there are medications that one could take or procedures that can be done to control the rhythm abnormality itself.
Let me ask you a question. I know, can individuals actually feel in their heart or in their pulse a flutter that occurs, or do you have to have a doctor attest? How do they do an angiogram? How do they find this if you don't know you have it?
Right. So, that's an important point. And what's very challenging about AFib is that, while some people may feel palpitations or shortness of breath or dizziness, many patients are completely unaware they have it, and the AFib could come and go. So your doctor doing an exam and saying everything looks good doesn't mean you didn't have AFib the day before or won't have it the day after. So, yeah, you could check your pulse, right? You could check the pulse on your wrist by the base of your thumb by putting your second and third finger and feeling the pulse and seeing if it's regular or not. But again, that's just a snapshot. We can't walk around doing that all the time. In general, we suspect AFib when we examine someone and feel a regular pulse, and we confirm the finding by doing an EKG or doing a monitor that records the rhythm of the heart. But again, these smart watches or adapters you could buy on your smartphone itself online could actually also not only tell you if your pulse is irregular, but they could record an EKG from the watch or the smartphone itself. So you can go to your doctor with proof that you have atrial fibrillation, right? So I think that this technology is really a game changer in that sense.
Fantastic. Where can we go to get more information?
Well, I work at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago. The website there is heart.nm.org, and the phone number for all of you Arizonians who spend your warm weather time in Chicago, that phone number is 312-NM-HEART. But there's also the Society, the Heart Rhythm Society website, which is excellent, and that website is hrsonline.org. O-R-G.
Give us the phone number one more time.
312-NM-HEART.
And the Northwestern, yeah. NM, Northwestern Medical?
Yeah, Northwestern
Memorial.
Medicine.
I have to tell you, my father is a alumni of Northwestern. He got a doctor's degree in psychology in the 1940s. So
yeah,
we have a soft heart for Chicago.
Well, great. It's a spectacular city. I'm not a Chicagoan. I'm actually a New Yorker, but it's a great city and an outstanding institution.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you so very much. We got to do a commercial break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.